Good evening and welcome to the Saugus Planning Board meeting of December 7th. There are 3 public hearings this evening. If you wish to speak during it, please come to the podium, state your name and your address. Anyone presenting it to the board, please do the same. Has the board had a chance to review the minutes of the last meeting? Can I get a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Motion passes 4-0. Minutes approved?
3 to 1.
3.
3-1.
Abstain. I abstain.
You abstain?
I wasn't here.
Okay. Sorry. Chairman's update. I'd like to give Chris the floor on this, if we may.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you to the board. Just a quick administrative item, really. Been in contact with Beta Engineering Group. They're one of the original peer review consultants that we authorized. This is before the new members came on board. We authorized 2, Tetra Tech, who's been doing all of them, and Beta. And the guy that we were working with at that time retired, so it just kind of dropped off. But I'm back in touch with them, and they're re-engaged, and so gonna have them probably start to work with us as well as a peer review consultant. So I'll be recommending that as the assigned peer review consultant with applications going forward. And right now, I don't have any to tell you about.
Okay.
Nancy might have received something, but right now the pipeline looks predictably dry for the winter season. That's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Nancy, do we have any information you'd like to bring forward? No new subdivisions? No. Thank you. We'll give it a couple of minutes and see if we could take a motion to see if Larry, the engineer, comes through.
Would you like a motion for a temporary?
Temporary meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We'll take a short recess in hopes that our engineer shows up.
I'm serious.
I'm sure he's on his way. We all know about Route 1 traffic this time of year.
All year.
I'd like to call this meeting back into order. We'll put Larry, he is on his way, but keep things moving forward. At this time, we have a continued public hearing for 1631, 1639 Broadway, site plan review, master plan, hillside protection. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Attorney Richard Magnan, with an office at 194 Central Street here in Saugus, representing the applicant in this continued hearing. And the board is, I'm sure, quite familiar with this project. Present also here this evening is Bobby Wong, Dennis Wong, Mike Touchette, Mr. Mashonda from Mashonda Engineering.
Scott Thornton.
Oh, I'm sorry, Scott Wood, okay, so. And Dennis Myers from, Mike McEwen from Dennis Myers Architects. As you know, the project started with a pre-application DPRC review in February of this year. And we have gone through numerous hearings and discussions about how to best present this project, and there have been some recent revisions based upon the comments from the planning board and the planning board's town engineer, and at this time I'll turn it over to Michael to address those revisions.
Thank you, Rich. Michael McEwen with Dennis Myers, the Architects. Thank you for having us again. We really appreciate your time. I'll just do a brief overview of our last meeting and discuss where the revisions have been made. So included in the package is a red line plan of the changes that were made. It was requested at the DPRC. This is the existing design that we had brought forth to the board and all the member departments for DPRC meeting number 2. A quick overview: 2 buildings, an apartment building and a mixed-use building. 74 single-bedroom apartments proposed. The site is terraced with parking throughout. The upper building has parking below. This proposed plan had a total of 151 parking spaces. Per the zoning, for our use and our occupancy and the number of apartments that we have, we're required to have 144 parking spaces. So we were to the good 7 or so spaces. The reason why we proposed this design had a lot to do with this easement and an intermingling of the terrace site, as well as connections to the adjacent property, which is noted in various locations at the end of the zoning. The zoning does make reference for easements, and they're encouraged through the end of the zoning, connections to adjacent parcels to take some of the weight off of Route 1 and 99, and that was our intention here with this design as it was proposed. I might make note that the Tetra Tech civil peer review for the site plan review did note in his number 27 comment that they as well understood that the zoning promoted easements and an intermingling of different properties for this purpose, to take some weight off of Route 1 and 99 in terms of access and shared drives and the like. The biggest ask, I think, from our perspective at the DPRC, Mr. Riley had addressed this roadway over the property line and understood there was a lot of focus put on that. Why is it necessary, etc. It was our best effort at the time to, maximize the efficiency of the site and to provide ample amount of parking, etc. What we have done since the DPRC meeting is to investigate, to take another look, as was asked, at the access drive to see if there was any way to get that access drive within the property limits. We've been able to accomplish that. We've been successful to pull it into the site. As was mentioned by myself in that DPRC meeting, this parking area down below was a double-loaded access aisle adjacent to the building, and that did have to be altered. We lost one bank of parking there to make room for the drive to be within the site. But we're able to still maintain the 144 count of parking in this proposed design. So my initial comment that we couldn't be successful in this without a variance was incorrect. We do have some savvy ways of adjusting the parking to get it to work, and we are at the 144 parking count with the access.
What size are those parking spaces? I know we talked about mini and
So
you didn't have a count back then.
there's a standard space 9 by 18 in the zoning, and then there's also an allowance for 35% of that parking to be compact spaces as well, which is a foot thinner in width.
And with the new design, we still meet that.
We do. We did have to take advantage of some of that alternate parking because I'll be candid, in the original design it was all standard spaces. We wanted to provide as many and as ample space as we could. But we're able to meet the 144, and that's sort of the bottom line there. So this is we didn't unfortunately have time to provide a full revised package to the board at this time. We wanted to ensure that you understood the differences between the two and allow your comment. And if it's desired to move forward with this alternate design, we would just ask for a little bit of time to revise the drawings, formally resubmit, and go from there.
Which this would still allow access from Essex Landing property?
Correct.
And Mr. Riley, you've reviewed that, because you were the one that had the elevations of that roof.
Yes.
Moving that in, and you're comfortable with all that?
To the board, I would say this is a substantial improvement over the plan. It was the one, to me, large remaining issue, and now that it's been solved in a creative way with the applicant's cooperation, like good faith effort to respond to our input, my recommendation would be it's pretty close to maybe looking at the findings, a motion to approve the findings, and then moving to approve the plan. I don't see any outstanding large remaining issues. I've looked through all the peer review reports, which we do have to sort of tonight at least enter into the record. And for efficiency, I would say maybe if the applicant is accommodating, that maybe they could go through their responses, which are minimal, and then we would sort of, by that way, cover both the peer review report and their responses in one fell swoop. But the project at this point has come to substantial conformance with departmental comments. I would say it's there. It's pretty much there, and time to sort of look at maybe a draft decision and some conditions to think about. That'd be my recommendation. Maybe a little bit more
Thank
than
you.
you asked for, Jeannie, but.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we do have someone here from Tetra Tech. If we could.
Yeah, we've got to read some of the peer reviews in the
Yes.
record.
Yes, ma'am.
Want me to present?
Would you please come to the podium?
For the record, Courtney Sudak representing Tetra Tech. Mr. Chair, Steve Boulay mentioned that he wouldn't be able to attend tonight, but I have his notes. If you'd like me to go through the site comments, I'm also happy to discuss the traffic comments.
Either way, you want to go through traffic first?
Sure. So we had made a, a number of comments back in September on the initial traffic study. By and large, a lot of the comments had to do with the use of very old traffic count data, and we wanted them to do a parking assessment to make sure that the parking supply was adequate for the proposed uses, especially with the mixed use with the restaurant. During the PM peak hour. We also had made some comments about the site access and for them to describe the anticipated weaving maneuvers for vehicles exiting the site who are destined for Route 1. It's our understanding, based on the applicant's consultant, Vanass & Associates' response to our initial letter, that they are preparing an updated traffic study. I don't know the status of that, but we have not received any updated study to review.
Was there anything else that you may have had to add on the traffic?
On the traffic, no, not until we see an updated traffic
Okay.
study.
And if you don't mind, so we can help this move along, do you have any remarks from Mr. Goulet?
I do. He wanted me to mention a few items. The first being that we believe there's not enough parking on the upper portion of the lot to park vehicles for the units in that apartment building. So it may require residents to park in the lower lot and then walk up the hill. And then he also raised the same comment that I just did about the potential overlapping peak parking demands between the restaurant and the residential uses. The next comment he wanted me to make was the island sizing and the shade tree planting should be as required. Right now, I'm not sure if that's reflective of this plan or not, but we noticed that they're maxing out the site, so if they decrease the project size or unit count somewhat, they may be able to get those items in compliant for the tree sizing and island size. The next, oh sure.
So I did have comments, but I didn't know if you wanted me to wait till the end.
Yeah, if you would, please, we'll let her, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The next comment was that the sidewalk that leads to the upper building ends and requires residents to walk around cars and into the driveway in order to get to the building from the lower lot, which can be a safety hazard. We were hoping the applicant could provide an update on the Mass DOT review process if it differs from Vanass's recent response a month ago that they had not started that process yet because they were waiting to get through local review. But the board should be aware before they, issue any approvals on what that status will be. The next comment is to have the applicant confirm that they have coordinated with the fire department regarding the internal driveway and the proposed steep slope. Next comment is in regards to the internal driveway, which the applicant just described. And lastly, the test pit logs show fill material that may be contaminated, and we would recommend the applicant note if they have conducted any surveys of the site related to the Massachusetts contingency plan and if they have an LSP on their team. So that's it for Steve's comments.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, I have a pertinent update, now that we've received that information for the record.
Yes.
On the Mass DOT process, I have a meeting scheduled with Mass DOT District 4 next Friday to go over all of this. So that process is being addressed with the permitting authority, which is Mass DOT. And at the next meeting, I'll have an update so that we can sort of close things out on that. I would expect we'll have resolution of that at that time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and Board. So to address the comments, and if I missed one, I'm sorry, but because there was a lot there. The comment number one, we were in the original design, we did have under the unit count parking for the upper lot included. We have revised that to address the comment, so there is sufficient parking up in the upper tier of the site to accommodate all the units that are there. So there isn't a need for anyone to park in the lower lot and walk or find their way up to the upper building.
Excuse me, 1 second. How did you do that? Is that because of some of the compact size now?
It is exactly that, Jeannie. So there's increased parking here, and then there's increased parking under the building via compact spaces. Yeah.
Thank you.
The islands and shade trees will have been updated and will be designed per town standards, which, if it's not included in this submission, will be included in the final. So it can be a contingency of the approval. To address the sidewalk at the upper lot has been adjusted to, and the entrance, an entrance has been added at the lower end of this building so that to keep traffic, pedestrian access and traffic separate in an effort to alleviate that concern. The roadway has been pulled in. There was one other, in terms of test pit and contamination of soils, during the preliminary construction, you would get soil reports as part of the project. So if there was anything found, it would be addressed in the standard manner.
With the change of the road, does the pitch of the sidewalk change at all?
I don't believe so.
So we're still at a 10% grade?
Yep, and actually, thank you, Mr. Chair. That was the other comment, is has coordination been handled with the fire department in terms of access via the road? We did specifically talk about that in the DPRC. He said they can handle up to 10%. He was comfortable with that number. That's what the roadway's been designed for. And Vanessa did a traffic turning radius using their trucks to get through the site, which none of the radiuses have changed. So that's a good point to note, that that is the reason that parking, one of the reasons that parking was lost, is because we need to maintain a 40 or 50 foot radius for these trucks to get in and out of that drive. And in order to do so, we had to lose the parking. So.
And the 3-foot sidewalk?
Yes, sir.
We're still going to maintain a 3-foot
sir,
sidewalk?
We literally took everything that was there as it was designed and literally slid it over after eliminating a bank of parking.
So we talked about having to go before the architectural barrier board on that 3-foot sidewalk?
We would deal with access with the building inspector as noted, yep.
Well, that was one red line drawing. Your second one?
So there's two. The one was a red line as requested of the original design. That would be left behind if it was desired for us to move in this direction, and we would we would formalize this design for the board.
The board have any questions?
Good estimate.
So we also talked about an egress lane at that meeting on Route 99. Is that what you're talking about, Mass DOT?
Yeah, Mass DOT has jurisdiction over the entrance, over that issue. So we'll get clarity at this meeting on Friday, and they have the plans, so they're reviewing them. And the applicant's been speaking with them. So these are things I expect will be resolved as of Friday when we will report to the board that, we have something that'll work.
There was a few comments there in the civil peer review. A deceleration lane was recommended, as well as widening and a reconstitution of the sidewalk along there for pedestrian safety. But it's, as Mr. Riley notes, it's Mass DOT's jurisdiction, so those recommendations will be brought to them, and if everyone was on the same page, those would be included.
So looking at the plan and taking into consideration what you're telling me, this parking may have to get shifted back into the lot some in order to get an egress lane in?
And there wouldn't be any, that's solely on Route 99. There wouldn't be any impact to the site, as is shown here. One thing that was noted in the, I don't know if it was traffic or civil peer review, but there is ample room in pavement right there now to make a deceleration lane and stripe it if it's desired to do so. So we don't foresee any impact to the site.
What's the wish of the board?
Mr. Chair, if I may, just one more
Yes, sir.
information. At the second DPRC, we talked about another issue, and we wanted to emphasize that as part of the updated plans, the next red line submission that we expect could be the plan of record that gets reviewed for approval, that on the master plan, the uses, the specific uses in the buildings should be indicated. So, and they agreed. So, where it says in the lower the particular concern was the lower building, where it says mixed use. We need a little more clarity there to show a restaurant and the types of uses we talked about back in the first DPRC. So, and I don't think there's an issue there.
Not at all. Yeah, that's very easy to do, and we had planned to. We'll give you the footages of the uses and list the uses in that building.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair, thank you.
Mr. Chair, so Mr. Riley, is it your recommendation to go ahead and make this motion to approve the findings tonight with those things that you've mentioned and based on what happens with the findings in the Mass DOT?
Yeah,
Or are you saying you're comfortable with that?
I'm comfortable with that, assuming there's nobody here from the public to provide any public comment, and we get the town engineer's report, and then I think that would be the next logical step here in this process.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'd like to call on Mr. Durkin at this time for the town engineer.
Thank you, and apologies for getting stuck in traffic on the way here. I think that I've spoken with the applicant's engineer, and it's my recommendation that a consultant who's familiar, with the town's water system and the wastewater system to verify. These are big buildings, a lot of residences, and to just for the city's sake to verify that the water sizes and the water mains are appropriate. I know there was, I don't have the studies that were done in 2016 for the Essex Landing, Collins Ave. I know there was quite a lot of work done by the applicant, and generally the water foreman is seems comfortable, things are good, but I don't want to take that risk with for this. So my recommendation is, we get some, with the board's recommendation or approval, I get some cost estimates for both the water assessment, capacity assessment, and the sewer, both the water supply assessment and sewer capacity assessment. In terms of the water assessment, there would need to be some hydrant flow testing. That would need to be done for the fire suppression analysis. It's always good to, test the hydrants, and they'll come up with a plan to do that, and they'll coordinate directly with the DPW to do that. There's still, they have a stormwater report they provided. I'm currently reviewing that. But there's also a stormwater permit, and, I'm still fairly new with the town, but, that's required for the town bylaw, because that is, the disturbance area is over an acre. So that will have to come. There's also an EPA general construction permit that will have to happen. I did find in my records, they have submitted for hillside protection permit. There are, one of the things I noticed at the second DPRC was mentioned that the site was reworked without a permit, and an engineer asked to be updated on this status. If this is a violation, and if this is a violation, question mark, what action the town may require to be undertaken for the applicant's proposed work. So, I think that's still pending. I think I actually met with the DPW today, and we went over the plans. So we're actively reviewing the drawings. We'll look at them again once the water and sewer assessment come back. But we're going to be prepared to have comments probably in a couple of weeks. Generally, it looks good. There's some minor issues. The sewers are, the line from the grease trap is not connecting to the manhole. It shows connecting to the line before the manhole. That's an issue, because if there's ever grease, then it can't be cleaned out properly. Minor stuff initially, not a big deal, but I think the big thing is, for everyone's sake, God forbid something bad happens, we want to make sure that the flows, the water can get. So I think for the city's interest and the applicant's interest, it's worth verifying that there's no issues with the water and sewer. And that summarizes what, there's also infiltration and inflow, but I think when we have all the unit numbers and the square footage, then, that's mostly just a fee, but that will be forthcoming. The stormwater permit can be a big effort, a good size effort. And typically, we hire a consultant to help review that submission. But I think I just want to be comprehensive. If you guys have any questions, I see Mike back there, I think. He looks good.
So we're moving forward. One other question I have. Have we obtained a letter from the National Grid and Power Line?
We have not. It's on my plate to get you that offset, and I don't have it prepared for this meeting, but can have it for the final, for sure.
Mr. Chairman, one question. I don't know if the board had to authorize me to get costs from the consultant for water assessment and sewer assessment, or I just get those costs and do I,
The DPW come through us? I don't think so, Larry. I mean, Chris, sorry.
No, not through
So
you.
you would
This
have to
process.
go through the DPW for that.
Okay, well, I can work with them, and I'll work with the applicant and the engineer on I'll get some costs, and I'll give them to you for review before, and you will come to agreement, and then typically it's a check is provided to the treasurer, and then the city contracts directly with the consultant. So I'll reach out to them tomorrow.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to come forward and speak on their behalf? Hearing none? Close that portion of the meeting, public meeting. Put a motion out there to accept the change of the plan as so designed with further design to be forthcoming on the change from the original. Also to put the mixed-use building exactly what it's gonna be on the plan as required by our zoning documents. Can I get a motion?
So you want to add different language into that?
Yeah, I would say the motion would be as the chair has described, and what's expected in the next meeting from the applicant for instruction by the board. It would be some of this information that the town engineer has asked for, at least progress on setting up the process for that. You know, a lot of that sounds like it could be by condition in a draft decision. So I would say that shouldn't necessarily hold up the process. But, you know, we want to see the red line mark up with the uses in the master plan and the site plan for the mixed-use building. The restaurant and related uses on the ground floor and the roof deck restaurant on the top floor. As to the hillside protection issue, I think we can flip that off. I don't think all of them need to be approved at once. So it needs to be addressed. But I think my recommendation would be move to consider approving the site plan and the master plan. And in that motion, just say the hillside protection remediation or, you know, some kind of mitigation will be considered at a later date so they can move forward with those zoning approvals. That would be my recommendation, but that's the motion pretty much.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Use
so
it.
moved.
Yeah.
I'm not repeating all
So it'll be in the
that.
minutes, so yeah, I think
So
that covers
moved,
it.
as stated by Mr. Al.
And you know, consultate, just to add, we already know, consultation with Mass DOT under their authority for any necessary adjustments to the entrance.
I'll second that motion.
Oh, those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you very much for your
We
time.
move it.
Thanks.
So we'll continue the
We'll continue this
Continue the public hearing
to-
public hearing as soon as we get some of the information. I don't know how you'll make
How
out
long do you,
Friday.
when do you need to
we gotta
continue?
continue to a date certain.
Yeah, right, so what date do you guys want to continue, just for the final?
What date you want to continue?
2 weeks, right, Mike?
Yeah. Yes, please.
Oh, no, we won't be here the 21st.
That's right.
The meeting
So
after.
it'll be January 4th.
Very cool.
January 4th? So I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing to January 4th.
All in favor? Aye. Motion passes 4-0.
Very good, thank you very much.
Have a good
Merry
holiday,
Christmas,
gentlemen.
happy holidays, and Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you very
Pleasure
much.
of the board that I should prepare a draft decision.
Please.
For consideration. 27th, the next meeting.
Yes,
Please.
Thank you.
do you need that in the motion, Chris?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, what's your first name? I didn't know she was a technician. Sal?
January 7th.
Forgot to say thanks for coming.
I thank her.
Did you? Thank you. January 4th? I think.
January 4th.
January 4th.
I think we're on Raising Cane's thing.
Yes, January 4th. Did we make that in the motion? Did I make that in the formal motion, or did we vote it? To continue that public hearing to January 4th?
I think it was the next meeting.
Do I get a
Yeah,
second?
so we're good.
Second.
Second? To
All in
continue?
favor? Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0, January 4th.
Okay. Next we have, this was continued. Raising Cane's was continued to January 4th.
Is anybody here for 799 Broadway Raising Cane's? Nope.
Yep.
It's continued to the next meeting, January 4th. They needed more time, anybody on TV, they needed more time to process some of the information the town had provided them, so that's the reason for the continuance.
Thank you for
Thank you, sir.
clarifying that. Next, Boulder Road.
Next public hearing is on 54 Boulder Road. It's a definitive subdivision plan permit. Mr. Saugus?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Rick Salvo with Engineering Alliance, here this evening on behalf of Christina Theophanis, who is the owner and the applicant. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here this evening. Her attorney, Jonathan Silverstein, is here this evening along with me to represent her. So this has been ongoing for a little while here. We gave the original presentation, I think, at the end of the summer. We did have a site visit. Since that time, we were able to meet with the fire department to understand the fire department's concerns, and we made some revisions to the plan to address their concerns, which I'll get to in just a moment. We've also been having a healthy dialogue with the engineering department. We did get some engineering comments. Unfortunately, we got them before the last Thursday deadline, so those comments aren't included, so that's kind of ongoing here. We'll be addressing their comments, which really shouldn't change the footprint of the project or the overall intent of the project. I think it's more a matter of adding some bells and whistles and details and that sort of thing. But just to run through the changes that were made, in order to accommodate the fire department turnaround in the driveway, they asked us to widen the end of the road by about 5 feet, so it made it go from 24 feet to 29 feet in this end stretch of the roadway. We've also adjusted the radii heading into the driveway to make it easy for the fire department to pull into the end of the driveway, back into the end of the road, and be able to drive out. We did submit a turning movement, went through that with the fire department. They were satisfied. I did see an email go by to the board that Captain Phelan indicated that they had no objections to this plan. In addition to that, we'll also be installing a residential sprinkler system in this house, which obviously adds a lot of manpower for the fire department when they're not there. In addition to that, we did get some preliminary comments from engineering, and the overflow out of this subsurface facility here used to head in this direction, which would head down the hill this way. Instead, we directed it this way. It will actually head onto our own property where it can infiltrate as it runs across our lot. We also moved the subsurface system at the west end of the project, a little closer to the edge of the right-of-way, so as to create some separation between the subsurface feature and the sewer. On the profile, it looks like one's on top of the other, but they're actually separated by a few feet horizontally. Those are essentially the changes that we made. Beyond that, it's still the same thing. It's an extension of the roadway by about now 248 feet, which is about 30 feet longer than what it was. Basically staying at the grade of the existing topography. There's no extreme cuts, no extreme fills. We're kind of at grade, which everyone saw during the site visit. You can kind of visualize how that road grade can be accommodated. And I think with that, I'll turn it back to the board for any questions or comments you have. We're not here for approval of the house. The house is a by right project. The house is shown for illustrative purposes, just to kind of add context to the whole thing. That obviously happens through a building permit process. We're really just here for the approval of the roadway extension.
Mr. Judge.
Mr. Chairman, just an additional modification that I suggested to Mr. Salvo is the DPW did extend curbing up there because there has been flooding below on Shore Road. So that is the Cape Cod berm type of curbing, and I saw no need for this project to have to put a different curbing, to put granite curbing. There is asphalt curbing down below, so I suggested that they do what the DPW did and put the Cape Cod berming. That was my recommendation, and if the board feels differently, then I just want to bring that to your
So
attention.
that berm will go the whole length of that extended road?
Yep, berm will pick it up way back here, extend it all the way up
And I did meet with the DPW and the foreman, they have, I've got a set of plans for them, they'll be looking at them, but they said that since that curb has been extended, that they haven't been receiving, chronic flooding. It's principally 35 Shore Road that's been.
Yeah, because what happened was the berm was there, and then a plow took that piece of berm out, and then now the water was coming down, it was directing right back and dropping into one of the houses down below. So, I was the one that had
You got the call?
7 months of nagging to get that berm put back there, because every time it was a heavy rains, it was dropping right down on the houses below. So, and then they extended it down below too, so it wouldn't.
Was that down
to
the
run.
bottom of the hill down there?
It was across from probably like 40.
It's 43.
43?
Shore Road.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean, I said 35, I'm wrong, it is 43.
And I'm 41.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
that water went into 43.
yeah, and we're
That was
getting,
only
we're getting
43.
low.
Yeah.
Hold on, let's get back out of here.
Trust
We'll
me,
get
she
to
bangs
this.
me a lot more than she bangs you.
I feel your pain. No, but you can understand it, because we drove up there, the manager and I drove up there several times, and you could see where the berm was missing. So
And
of
it
course
just
it's gonna
falls
direct
off.
the water, it's
Right.
gonna go right down into, drop right down into your backyard, so.
Yeah.
Mr. Riley?
It's
If
been
I
better
may,
though?
Mr. Chair, through
Not
you,
much
Board.
more.
On this note, before we leave it, with all due respect to the engineering recommendation, in my experience, with lots of sort of issues like this or similar situations, the importance of having vertical granite curbing is the longevity of it. Cape Cod berm, that's asphalt or concrete, does exactly what Jeannie's describing in
Breaks
not-
away. and
not
plows.
too short order. In New England weather in particular, plow hits it and then it's gone. So I would highly recommend vertical granite curbing just for the longevity and, lack of maintenance that it provides to make sure the water, doesn't get through any sort of destruction of the Cape Cod berm.
Yeah, our original design had vertical granite curbing in it. We changed it after discussion with engineering. I'm wondering if the better solution here may be, on these straight stretches of road, to keep the Cape Cod berm there, and if there's a spot, around a corner or something where there's some existing bituminous berm that might be more susceptible to getting hit by a plow because it's on a corner, maybe we could install it there, but I'm happy to change it up here. I don't know that you'd reap the benefit of having it up here as much as you might, at that corner where you're talking about.
It actually wasn't a corner, it was
It
kind of a
blew out
straight,
right
it was a
there.
straight way where it was missing, and I think sometimes when the plow comes up, especially up there, because it's kind of like a dead end, they
They
kind of
can
push it
plow.
over to the sides, you know what I mean?
Ah, I see.
And
So
I
they-
think,
they
so it
push
took it out,
right
it
up
was a
there.
straightaway that
So
that
just for
was
some
missing.
clarification, this is an unaccepted street, if I'm correct.
Correct.
Why is the town plowing it anyway?
There's a lot of streets, I think, that have just evolved over the years, and this happens in many municipalities. That once you've been plowing it, and then you realize that it's unaccepted, you can't really stop.
Will that,
But
It'll likely be a comment from the DPW.
Why do we have to pay taxes? Yeah, why do we have to pay taxes?
We discussed it today.
would you be kind enough to see it through and find out where the DPW is gonna go once this is in? Are they gonna maintain it, or is it gonna have to be done by a private vendor?
The poly?
Yeah,
I think they'll probably ask the question, it's an unaccepted road.
Well, it's just continuing though of a street that's
yeah, but
already
it
there.
was never accepted, and
But it's,
I think it was because of the homes that were there, it was by the fire department.
well,
So this could change now as it's going, I'm not 100%
we don't
sure.
really have to worry about who's gonna plow it, that's not really
I don't know.
our job.
Larry
so.
don't plow, so.
So I don't think that's a concern.
No, I'm just-
But going back to the curbing,
I'm just
if you
bringing
guys
this
were
in.
originally, if the homeowner was originally willing to put in that curb and you think it's better, longevity-wise
By
and
far.
for the residents, because
I would say it's
this home's
essential.
all
Absolutely.
below, all the
Right.
way up there,
Right.
down below. So if it's
We're
gonna
not- we're
protect
not-
them and make the residents feel better, I think, and the homeowner's willing to do it,
yeah,
I mean, I know what you're probably saying, it'll, you know, the other one's already
Well,
done.
and I
It
guess,
does, berms do have to be replaced all the time, and they don't have much longevity.
right. Yeah, or maybe the compromise might be, I guess just to bring up, since we're in this discussion now, you know, this isn't a developer that's trying to build this for profit or anything. These are people that are building this to be able to build a house and move in and live there. Would it be a reasonable compromise to put granite curbing around the whole low side and maybe put the berm on the high side where there's no risk?
I would think so, because the low side is where it's gonna go down to the
Yeah,
residents. So
I think we'd be okay with that. I think that'd be fine.
I'm fine with that.
Vertical granite curving is obviously more expensive.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
It has to be set, but
More expensive, harder to get with this whole supply chain thing, so.
it by far lasts much longer and is more
No doubt.
effective over time.
Is there a berm now on the other side of that street? There isn't, right?
Yes and no. I mean, there's berms, it's kind of haphazard.
Mr. Salvo, we've got a couple of tanks that are gonna go into the road, holding tanks.
Infiltration tanks, yes.
That's correct. Who's gonna, once they're into the middle of the road, who's gonna maintain those?
They will be the responsibility of the property owner. That's the way the operation and maintenance plan that was submitted in the drainage
So
report
there'll
works.
be a condition?
Because it's an unaccepted road, yeah, and I can pull that out, you know, if we're lucky enough to get to an approval and a submission time, we can pull that language out of the O&M plan, so it can become a condition as well, so kind of a belt and suspenders. So,
Yeah, you
and-
want that to stay with the property or?
And it says it will run with the property until such time that if the street ever happens to be accepted by the town, then the maintenance would turn over to the town, but I don't foresee that happening anytime soon, if
And there's a
ever.
requirement on these tanks twice a year?
Yes, yeah,
Twice a year?
yeah,
So they'll prepare.
spring and fall,
You'll prepare a schedule?
yes, yep.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know if it's an appropriate time, but there's something in the engineer's report that if it's, I'll mention it now.
Sure.
I think I'm gonna read it. The point overflow for the new stormwater infiltration structure overflow appears that they may potentially cause flooding to other parcels. Flows are less than pre-development that are more of a sheet flow than potential point flow. The applicant shall satisfy the planning board's engineer concern that this project will not contribute to observed flooding, particularly at 35 Shore Road. So, you know, I've got a contour map and I projected where the overflow will be. More the concern is on the western side, the left side of that overflow, and yeah, it's gonna be less, but that was more of a sheet flow. Now, where you have that overflow, when that overflows, that's gonna impact, it's particularly gonna impact number 43. And so that's a major concern of engineering, and the DPW.
Yeah, and I'd say, and we can, I think there's a couple of different solutions we can come up with that. So right now, there's a net decrease in the rate of stormwater runoff that's managed at the bottom of the hill from what this area creates now. And the way that we come up with that net decrease is because we've installed two systems that hold a significant volume of water and allow it to infiltrate back into the ground rather than running over land. We did provide an overflow that has, you know, it's like less than 1 CFS comes out of there in the 100-year storm, which is like 8 inches of rain that falls in 24 hours. But we could do one of two things. We could either eliminate it completely, that if there was ever a flooding event that exceeded the 100-year storm, the water could simply come back out of the catch basin and it would sheet flow down the hill just as it does now. Or we could put a level spreader at the bottom of this. There's a couple different options that we're happy to work with engineering on to make sure they're
I think that's a
satisfied.
good idea. I
Mr.
have a
Salvo?
question. Oh,
Oh,
sorry,
sorry,
go ahead.
Mr. Chair.
Good?
Oh, sorry. Is there gonna be blasting?
That's my question. Very good.
There could be some blasting for the utilities. We won't know until we get excavating, you know, to that depth for the sewer. The sewer could result in some blasting. We're hoping it'll just be hammering.
We just don't know yet.
What about the water? Will that be blasting also?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. The sewer is quite a bit, is pretty deep in there, so.
I think the other point I mentioned in the engineer report, engineering plan and drawing concerns and comments, and were provided, this week, and I think we're still working on those. I think one of the notes I have is blasting and precondition survey notes, to be added, for town review and acceptance. So I did speak with one of the residents up at 52, and I know they have a new gunite pool, and they have a special needs child who's noise sensitive. So I think those are. So there's.
Like I said, the roadway.
Some precondition surveys.
Yeah, so the roadway itself won't. We're right at grade. We don't have any significant cuts or fills. We're right at the existing roadway grade. For the roadway itself, it would only be potentially for utilities. We're hoping we can avoid
The
it.
utilities are under the road.
That's right. But I'm saying to construct the roadway itself,
Yes.
we're not altering the grade significantly at all. So we don't anticipate any blasting at all relative to the house construction, relative to the shaping of the road itself. It would be limited to just in the sewer trench, potentially the water trench. I don't really see it for the water trench, but
So how would that work if you did have to blast, for instance,
so-
if the neighbor right next door has a
so if they have to
gunite
blast,
pool?
there's Massachusetts has a very strict process for that. It's regulated through the state fire marshal's office. They'd have to go to the fire department. They'd have to get a blasting permit. They would have to reach out to all the abutters within 250 feet of the blasting site. They would have to offer them all pre-blast surveys, that would establish a baseline of how their property looks now. So, for instance, if there was a brand new pool, it would be photographed. It would be videoed with the consent of the homeowner. And then if anything were to change after the blasting took place, and if there was a claim, the claim would be paid to be taken care of. So there's a very strict procedure in Massachusetts for blasting.
So, I don't know if you guys are feeling it, but are you feeling the blasting from the vote?
Oh, yeah.
You guys want to come up and speak?
Hold on one second, we'll get to the public hearing.
Oh, okay.
Just we're trying to get all the information out of the engineer at this point. I'm glad you're still listening. Does anyone have anything else for Mr. Salvo this time? Mr.
Mr.
Riley?
Chair, whatever it says regarding blasting, that we have a condition in the approval. What I recommend is a condition with language that says there must be a pre-blasting meeting with the neighbors, and the planning board must receive all of the pre-survey information and review it to make sure that the process is being fully followed, which I'm sure will. But that everybody's aware and notified that every other measure has been considered, and blasting is the only alternative, and the fire department is upholding the regulations fully. But there's something shorter than that, but to the point.
That's
Yeah.
very, very.
So that the planning board is aware of it.
Yep.
Gets-
That sounds like a good boilerplate condition, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it's a
Yeah,
good idea.
yeah, definitely.
And Mr. Chair, they're looking to add fire protection service, so we would, you need to do a hydrant test.
Yep.
And then to make sure you got a 2-inch line and it's probably enough, but just to verify that that's sufficiently sized based on the pressure and flow available. There's a hydrant right near 52.
It's right in front of our house.
Yeah, right for the house. Yeah, like I said, those are typically done during a building permit.
Yes, yes.
And,
So the question, where it's being extended, this is not gonna be a loop line then?
no,
No.
Yeah,
no place to
line.
loop it to.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so it'd be good to do a pressure test.
Yes, it's always needed for a fire suppression analysis.
Yeah, they'll need to do it to design the sprinkler system
Yep.
anyway, so.
Right. Does the board have any questions? This is a public hearing. Is anyone in the audience that would like to get up and speak? Please just state your name.
I'm Lynn White. I'm at 41 Shore Road, which is right in front of Sue's house. Probably at the to the back end of the existing road where it ends right now. Having grown up in the hills, there's no way they're going to get any water and sewer in there without blasting, and it's all blue granite. I'm well aware that they blast every, how they have to do the blasting because we're a construction firm too. So there's definitely going to be blasting. Our biggest concern, though, I think more is the water. Yes, I'm at 41, and I know the tags at 43 have been getting a lot of water. Back a number of years ago, the previous owner cut down all sorts of trees that were on, there's a strip of conservation land that runs up there, and he cut down a lot of trees. And ever since, and he filled in a retention pond that was up there that we used to fish in and skate on and everything else, that you no longer can even see it because it was filled in with rocks and whatever else he could find. So ever since, though, he's done that, I even get water. And sometimes it runs through my yard into John and Roberta McTagg's yard. I just recently had to get, my mason guy back to redo a patio area that collapsed because of water coming under a wall that I had put in there. And he just did that this past year. And it wasn't coming from my house, it wasn't coming from drainage, it was coming from under the wall as it's coming down in my backyard. And I have a very natural backyard setting, I haven't changed it much, but over the years, because of the water, it's all sorts of rocks there instead of what used to be grass and greenery. So there is definitely water coming from that area since a lot of the trees and things like that have been cut down. So I'm very much in support of having a more structured, not a berm, but like a, granite
Yeah,
to
what they're
hopefully.
proposing will vastly improve it,
Right.
but we need protection in terms of the duration. Vertical granite curbing is an amazing thing.
Yes.
It is very effective at directing water.
But with blue
keeping it
granite,
away.
it can go under that.
It's hard for it to do that when it's up against asphalt in a road. It's.
Oh, no, that's true.
You'll see vast improvement with what they're proposing. It should be vertical granite curbing, and I think that will be sufficient.
Hopefully that's the case, because like I
Yeah.
said, we were all enduring a lot more water than we had before. And
Sure.
we get it running off the hill, and it's icy, and and things change. And, the topography changes over the years, that sort of thing. But like next to us is there's a pool, and he's got a high sloping area. It's technically Upland Road, but these homes are really run right along where he's going to be building.
You're over here? No, here's the pool, right?
That's for Upland. Next one over is my sister's house with my father's house. That's me.
Okay, that's you there, okay.
So, but there used to be a retention pond that we used to fish in and do all sorts of things up there. And that's all been filled in. And there was a strip of conservation land that he went crazy cutting down trees. We managed to get it stopped somewhat.
The pond that you said that was filled, was that on town property or is that on private property?
It was right on the lot of land that could have been part conservation, could have been part of the property that these people just bought from Manny.
In the right of way.
This is
The
a
right of
strip
way.
of
Right in the
land.
middle of where probably right in the middle of where the road is going to go.
Okay.
But there was a huge, it was huge.
If I may, Mr. Chair, to the applicant, to the board. Can you plant some trees there? Do you have room to do that, Rick? Right, it sounds like they were, I know you might need to talk to conservation, but can you plant trees there?
It's not our land, but, I don't tell you, it's pretty thick in there, I don't know.
Not anymore.
When were the trees cut?
Are you talking about when,
Yeah.
are you talking about when this house was built? Are you talking about when this house was built?
Yeah.
That's when that happened?
Yes.
It was just a few trees in there.
Because that house was built, what, in '89?
No,
No,
I was in '84. 86.
I was 87.
The assessor director.
I was 87. When was yours? When was the one that you just moved into?
86 it was.
86, yeah.
from when
No, Manny was there a number of years before he decided he wanted to have a view of the lake. So that's when he started cutting down trees. And, you know, I made a call to conservation and they, that was quite a while ago.
It looks like
But we
where the
stopped
big,
them.
it looks like where the big barren area is right in here. And that's on our neighbor's property, that's off of our, that's not on our site.
What is it?
Next to you.
The area where the big clearing is, I think, is right here.
We're into the conservation side.
So this is.
No, that's on the other
this is
side.
Maine.
Right away.
All right,
Anyway.
so, okay.
So why not,
This is
normally
my
require
own
trees.
Yeah.
That's I thought that's clear.
Okay, oh, yeah.
This is where he cleared it, right in here.
Oh, two more trees down
So this is
there.
my property here, and I could
Right
never
next
see
to
these
the road.
people at all. Now,
Right.
now in the winter, that's all, like you can, probably the stumps are still up there.
So there's a clearing right, so they're saying right in here, just for the purpose.
Unfortunately, he did that.
This is the area, I think, where they're saying was.
And that's the side you're talking about putting the granite curb.
Yeah, that's how we're talking about putting the granite
That
curb.
would-
Which should stop a lot of that water.
Yeah.
You're putting a granite curb here. This is a strip of conservation land that belongs to the town.
Correct.
And they're saying the trees were cut here.
Correct.
And that's where they're.
And we did attempt to
It
get
actually, they were
conservation to get
cut
him
here,
to plant
I'm
trees
here.
back after he
I'm at
cut
6
them
up
down, but
And
Our
I could
efforts seem
see
to
they
have
were
failed.
cutting them right here. Right
So they
here.
might be a lot longer
So,
than just.
wow,
he took a
so
lot
the
down.
fact that
In
they're
that
not
location?
going
Yes.
to.
Well, it should be in the right of way.
The water table has definitely shifted,
It would make a
since
difference.
this house went up. So it has
It
shifted, where
stabilizes
we
the
never
soil.
got water, and we get water now.
That's what happened.
So it's
Everything
coming down, it's actually
unstable.
coming
You're
right
getting more
down into
water,
the
you're getting,
corner of this yard, right
you know,
next to
erosion.
this house.
Well, I think what the applicant's proposing is
Yeah.
with this road, the water that's coming this way, this is the crest of the hill. This is gonna get infiltrated, well, the overflow's here. And they may not have an overflow and just have it come back up in the catch basin, so it'll go down the street. So this water is not gonna, from above, it's not gonna be coming
Okay.
down.
And there'll be a good, there's not a berm up here, right,
Not now,
right here, there's no berm.
now.
It just, it free flows. When the road goes in, there'll be a berm there that'll stop it from coming across.
Let's try to get a little out of here with
Yeah, that's really nice, and then really be running down the hill.
Yeah, but what about
That's,
like
I think the berm, they'll find will be, or the curbing will be an enormous help to them. What's happening is, right now, the road ends right here. So,
All that runoff
all
is coming
this
down
is
onto
able to
that.
run right straight across. Now it'll hit this curb, it'll go into one of these two infiltration facilities where there's a volume to hold that water back and let it infiltrate, and let the storm go by. So they should realize there's significant increase,
Improvement.
improvement from it.
A few trees too.
Yeah, I guess I'd have to go, I'd have to go up, and- yeah, I'd have to go up and take a look, but I don't see why we couldn't. I just want to take a look at it and make sure
Okay.
that, like, they're gonna survive, you know what I mean? That the canopy's not too thick in there
No,
for them
yeah,
not to.
yeah.
couldn't have been.
Mr. Chairman, if that's the case, I recommend the sidewalk. I'm a forester, but I could ask the DPW if we could go up there with forestry myself and.
Yeah, I'll be happy to go up there, pick some up.
And then they can develop a proposal
Oh, I remember.
to the board to consider.
Is
I
that,
don't have
is
a
that
problem
yellow,
with
is
that.
that the size of the house? How many square feet is that?
I don't know, I don't think they've completely settled on a house design yet. That was just where their architect had left off, yeah. But it'll be completely zoning compliant.
Between that.
And it'll get evaluated again by engineering during the building permit process.
On our side of our property, doing stuff.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board?
Anyone else?
Anyone else in the audience that would like to get up and speak?
I just want to say, we're not against anybody building. It's a wonderful area, and we love it up there. We just, want there to be precautions taken so that we can stay, not have,
Not any more
things that
problems.
happen for us down the line that
Understood.
cost me $5,000 to repair.
And I think the good news is that this process is in place now. I don't believe this
Yeah.
process existed back in 1990 or 89 or whenever it was,
Probably
so.
didn't.
So this is a good thing that it's going through this
And there's a
review.
lot of things that
yeah.
didn't happen up in the hills that we just never got years
Right,
ago. I mean,
right.
drainage and that, it just, you
Sure.
couldn't do it.
But what
Yeah.
about like underground springs, if they do have to blast, are there underground springs up there that could be tapped into, because there's one down the road that runs
Yeah, right next
straight
to-
down, it runs down King Street, and in the winter,
And it
it's,
freezes-
King Street is a
it freezes
sheet of
it.
ice.
Ground-
It's terrible.
Groundwater, and
Yeah,
if
so-
it's granite up there, there's not a lot of groundwater.
It's a natural spring that comes out of the
Natural spring.
driveway next door to me and goes right down and fills King Street and it freezes.
Didn't mean to speak.
No,
it.
no, good, good.
It has nothing to do with this bill.
No, I'm just curious to know that, could that happen, you know, if that
Right.
happened, yeah, it just.
Like I said, as much as the neighbors don't want to have the blasting, this applicant does not want to blast. Blasting is not an inexpensive thing, so every effort will be made to avoid
If
blasting
we
if we
can
can.
add that into one of our conditions, like Mr. Riley recommended, then I think that would help. That should give you some level of comfort.
house on a
If something
slab.
happens to your pool
Yes.
and they have to
Right.
fix it.
And with my son, it would be, you know, if we knew they were gonna blast, we would bring him
Typically,
somewhere else.
Rick, do they give notice, so she could, like, if
Oh,
she
y-
wanted to take
oh,
her
yeah.
son out
Oh,
for
yeah,
the day?
there'd be plenty of
give
notice. And this will be a belt and suspenders, so you'll get notified twice. You'll get notified once from the blasting company, and then once under the planning board, whatever condition the planning board requires. You know, I mean, sometimes, you know, in that regard, you know, for your child, sometimes the blasting's better because it's quick
Well, yeah,
compared
that's
to
the-
like
the
long
tech-
duration
Hammering.
I know
handling.
what you mean, yeah.
You know what I mean?
But
But
the thing is, like,
Right.
we're feeling the blasting coming from what they're doing over there at the Vogue. We can all feel it, shaking our houses. It's that far away, and we're feeling, so it gets a little scary when it's gonna be right outside your door.
So
But I agree that, I think,
I work.
we'll make sure that this
tap, 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 tap.
process is foolproof.
I'm being good.
We can control that.
no, I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Your husband had a question.
I know, my husband.
At this time, I'd like to close a portion of the
Did he have
public
questions you
meeting.
want to ask for him before he
did,
closes
but
the
I
public
have no
hearing?
clue what they are.
We're gonna be back here anyways on January 4th, is that what you said?
That's my
January
birthday,
4th.
so-
Yeah, so we've got the markups that we just got from engineering that will address those, so we'll be submitting a new set of drawings. So I think we just continue it anyways. If they have questions, you know, the soonest that this project would ever start would be the spring anyway, so we got plenty of time.
Okay.
I know he said something
So
about that
you will
turnaround.
work with DPW on the granite curve?
Yep.
Schedule the sidewalk for.
Yeah, and I'll meet Larry. I mean, the board's already met out there, but I can meet out there with Larry and
Yeah,
look
I'll
over the
talk to
trees.
DPW tomorrow and ask if we can set up a meeting with
Mr. Riley,
as well.
Mr. Riley, would you go to that?
We can invite Mr. Riley.
Yeah, I can go to that.
Just
I'll
to
contact
relay back to the board,
Yeah,
especially if it's during the daytime?
yeah.
And
Sure to do
you'll,
that. I'll contact the fire department.
and you'll start the order of conditions,
Yeah, I'll do a draft decision for the 4th.
please.
And we'll discuss this when we meet on Thursday. We'll
Yep.
set a time, and ideally we do it before the holiday.
Yeah.
So if I may, Mr. Chair,
Sure.
I know there was a question to special counsel about full use of the road, and I know the DPW wants me to get a record of a written opinion of the special counsel if that's the full use of the right-of-way, you know, for Boulder Road. So I sent, Chris, I sent you an email a little earlier this evening looking for that. It's not in your staff report. So I think,
I have no authority over town council. so.
I think, did they give you a written opinion that it's okay to put all these structures in the
No.
road?
I think that would have to come through the DPW, not through the planning board.
Yeah, and our side, I know we did write our own legal opinion, and maybe that can get passed on to council for them to review, if that makes
That's
it
a-
easier for anyone.
That's a major contention for DPW. They want to, they would like to see something in writing.
For what? I didn't hear that, I'm sorry.
Well,
So he's looking for a legal opinion to put the structures in the road.
Right.
And
You use the full
Jesse touched base
paper
on that,
street.
but I don't think he's given us.
resume
Oh, okay,
plan.
okay.
But that wouldn't be through the board, that would be through the DPW.
Well, you made the question to them of this, Chris, is that
I
correct?
did, and I never got an answer.
We'll talk about it tomorrow,
Yeah.
if you need
Okay.
something.
I do have one town council opinion on a related matter. Shall I read into the record?
Sure.
So this is from Jesse Schomer, special counsel for the town, as to this issue of the planning board's authority in this matter. As the applicants come forward, and to their credit, they're voluntarily submitting themselves to subdivision control. And we had asked, what's the process for the planning board? What is really their authority? And he says, in my view, the operative phrase here is reasonable conditions. It's the common term in both zoning and subdivision control. I think the board can certainly take into consideration the subdivision requirements that would normally apply, but I don't think it's correct to say that those requirements necessarily should be applied. It requires a case-by-case analysis of reasonableness based on the situation. In the case of a small street extension for a single house, it may or may not be reasonable to require all the bells and whistles that the subdivision rules would normally call for, the design standards, in my words. That's up to the planning board to determine. So you have authority here, but under this rubric of being reasonable, whatever.
Okay,
As long as you're consistent, it seems reasonable.
And we'll get additional information once you guys have had the walk.
Yeah. You want a copy of this? I don't think you've received this.
That's fine, if you can forward it to me, that's fine, by email. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
The motion is, we're going to keep the public hearing open.
You want to keep it open until we have all the information?
Yes, so make a motion to continue the public hearing until January 4th.
All in favor? Motion passes 4-0. The public meeting will remain open for the 4th, should you have any other questions. Once we see the design and the change.
Mr. Chair, I'll provide it's a pleasure to the board, I'll provide a draft decision for review and consideration that evening, share with the applicants so they're aware of it and the neighborhood, so they understand what the board's considering. That makes sense? About a weekend.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Selville, your changes will be redlined?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
I apologize, I missed that.
No, that's okay.
We call him Johnny O'Brien, Johnny O'Redline Bryan.
It's just
If it isn't redlined, he isn't gonna look
I'm almost
at
going
it.
to be out of red ink.
Get a big barrel.
Have a good holiday, everyone.
You too, thank you.
Just the favorite motion.
And make sure you write your husband's questions down next time.
He said, it's been canceled so many times, can I cancel it this time, because I can't be there?
Oh, no, no worries.
I know how he feels.
Of all times, yeah, oh
Yeah.
well.
Well, he can ask his questions on the board.
Good.
I wasn't listening to the thing. I thought of it afterwards. It was on tape and on film.
You're not on the microphone. She probably heard me, but not you.
I'll know when I get home tonight.
Take care. Nice to see you. Motion to adjourn. Oh, no, we have one more thing on there. Oh, okay, well, we should mention it. No, no, or no.
That's easy enough. Let's take a look.
Yes. Okay, so next we have 860 Broadway, and nobody's here, so does that mean, so is that just what's going on?
Yeah, I asked that Nancy put this on the agenda, just because with 860, we had a number of administrative issues.
Excuse me, folks, quick. Excuse me. We're still
We've got
leaving.
one more agenda item, so, yeah.
Outside, I know it's cold out, but.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take
Thank you,
care.
Rick.
Thank you. So, I'm asking that, all of these things that come in, the as-bills, that they come before the board, particularly because at this point, we don't have peer review construction inspection on the site. So, what are the issues? What are the outstanding issues? There was a water main that needed to be repaired. I know Larry was up there. I think that went well. I don't know the status of that, but I think that's been resolved, but.
If I may, Mr. Riley, I had brought to your attention that it looked like they were digging up that water line again this week. Could you stop up?
I have a scheduled appointment out there tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning. I'm gonna catch up with the contractor. I did speak with the construction supervisor, Mr. Zorn, and we're meeting at 10:30. I did do some inspection of the stormwater infiltration structure when it was going under construction. I'm just gonna verify that the pressure test and the disinfection for the different lines are set. And so I'll do this, I'll verify this status. I'll write a report, I'll write a memo up on my inspection.
At your time of visit?
Yes, sir.
Would you be kind enough to take a look at the far corner of 860? I did notice them dumping material over the hill into the wetlands yesterday.
Okay.
I mean, this is what's gonna happen if we don't have a peer review consultant. They're just gonna take it on their own to do as they please, and I think we need to.
Mr. Chair, can I just add into the peer review consultant piece of it? There is gonna be a letter, it was supposed to go out prior to this, but it is coming from town council.
Oh, good.
That will state that we are entitled to those peer review funds and we will have them back on board. So that's coming and that will happen. Do you want me to read you a piece of that, a little insert of it, or?
Yeah, I think that's necessary, but yeah, please. Go ahead.
So this is just a piece of the letter that's gonna be going out from council. Be advised that requiring peer review inspection review accounts to be funded by the developer is authorized by multiple provisions of the Town of Saugus bylaws, regulations that are applicable to this project based on its existing approvals. Without limitation, these include Section 12.6 of the Saugus zoning bylaws, Section 5.0 of the Saugus Planning Board Rules and Regs, and Article 3(1)(a)(8) of the Saugus Department of Public Works Stormwater Management Rules and Regulations. So that letter will be going to the applicant, and then we should be receiving those peer review funds, I would imagine. If not, we are entitled to it, so, we are gonna pursue that. But then go back to what you were asking, I'm sorry, you were asking.
So I have a question on that, maybe you can help us. So how have we issued building permits, foundation permits without this, and who's inspected them, and how do we know? I mean, I know it's part of the building department's jobs. I know for a fact that one of the building inspectors was out there day before yesterday. And he says, while he was out there, he says he noticed blasting going on, noticed no 3 sirens, and they just open blasting. That's what I was kind of chuckling when Mr. Salvo was here, because these are things that were brought to his attention early on in the project. And now with no peer review, no oversight whatsoever, it's running away.
Yeah, and I think, that's why I want to make sure the board's aware of the progress on the site and the construction continues, and that they're submitting these documents such as as-bills, and this is an opportunity for the board to say we want verification of compliance with the approvals and the decision. We're not just going to wait till a condition says that we're going to review an as-built when they request a certificate of occupancy. It has to be in compliance at all times, or it's in violation of the zoning. So I would say in this case, we'll have this letter from council, that's critical, and then the applicant will be notified. We have to follow a process.
Mm-hmm.
Inspectional Services is responsible, once project's approved by you, to keep an eye on things, and when building permit applications are submitted to them, they're supposed to verify that everything is in conformance with what was approved. We just need to be a little more vigilant, obviously, with this particular developer, because we're not seeing the sort of response. I mean, the peer review thing and their failure to provide more resources for ongoing construction inspection, that's egregious. I mean, it's, nothing should really be going on up there. So I think, for you, it's an informal discussion, so there's no action for you, but just so we're all in agreement about the process going forward, that's great that Jeannie's reported. Town council's going to be sending them notification. That puts them on notice and allows town more authority to say when they do submit something, no, you don't get that until you comply in full with all the approvals. And so that's what I want you to know. I'll be looking for going forward, and I'll be reporting on that and asking these things get on the agenda so you can review them. And then hopefully we'll get a better result. But it's just not there yet.
Okay.
So we gotta be vigilant.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, if I could add, I have done several inspections of the water at different times. I haven't been up there lately, but the pressure testing and the disinfection testing has been coordinated with the water department. So
Okay.
they've been contacting directly with the water department. I gotta check my emails. If I don't have copies of the pressure testing or of the disinfection results, I will get them.
And to your knowledge, how many failures have they had at this water line?
The main issue was there've been 3 contractors on the site. The main issue was with the work done coming off Longwood by the second contractor. That on that end of the property, looping up through, when the third contractor was continuing that piping and tried to pressure test it, they couldn't get it to test.
So was there a pressure check done on the line upon installation by the second contractor? Is there anything on record?
No, because they didn't take it.
They did what they wanted to do.
They didn't take it further. They didn't complete it. They were off-site before before it was pressure tested. The third contractor, they put in some extra valves at their expense because they realize that they know from experience that it's better to have more segments to test it. And they ripped out the old pipe, didn't reuse it, and they put new pipe in. And they were able to pressure test it. And they're gonna give me some markups tomorrow. They'll I'll spend some time out there and go through it with both Mr. Zorn and the contractor's project manager. And you're saying on what portion of the site is you think maybe
Northwest Lee corner?
Northwest Lee
So
corner?
that's the furthest corner from Longwood Ave at the rear of their site?
So is that where the spot?
That's where they're supposed to be putting in a retention wall or what you call it? They started to build a wall and it's not to the drawing. And it's supposed to be a riprap slope. They were dumping excess of material over that wall yesterday,
Well,
over that hill,
In the wetland?
into wetlands.
They've removed
talk to
that
them.
boulder out of the wetlands?
They've never taken any of the boulders that they put in out. It's just,
Well, the good news is the building inspector has the ability to require structural analysis from a structural engineer at their cost. And then they can't get approval or under the code. And that's where compliance really puts them at a full stop. But,
so they're still blasting up there on a daily basis.
yeah, that's a fire department. I'll contact
But
them
it is
tomorrow.
also in our general conditions that they're supposed to come back before the board,
Yes,
and they've not done it once.
yeah.
They're supposed to notify the abutters before they blast. They have not done that since we haven't had a period.
Yeah.
So as I say, the project is running away from the board, from the town, from the building inspectors, and I thank you for bringing it forward because we need to get control.
Yeah, I think using this opportunity to publicly just expose this kind of thing and look for solutions in real time and keeping the board aware, instead of sort of waiting until we're all reacting, trying to manage it better. So hopefully, in any suggestions for that, I'll take it as far as I can at the staff level.
And I've sent you pictures of the latest,
Yep.
5:30 in the morning.
It's,
And
yeah.
Holidays working, they have pushed the buttons at this site, things that they're not supposed to do.
Yeah,
for
there's
the
been a
past
lot of
2 years.
restraint by the abutters,
And-
frankly.
and-
The kind of stuff that happens there is, I
So-
haven't seen
so-
it too often in my
No, and
long
it's
career,
just-
but it's got to be addressed, yeah.
Okay.
Can we get an itemized list of all the
Well,
infractions that are going on there?
As an abutter, I'm speaking, I've been told to notify the police department. And the police department says, we're not construction guys, we don't have any oversight. as to when they start, when they stop. I said, I just want to get it on record. But,
That's the key.
so.
Get
So
it
do you have a
documented,
do you
get it
have
on record. Whether they do anything or not, it's
Yeah.
important to have
Mhm.
a record.
Paper trail.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for Mr. Riley.
Thank you.
It's always better
Thank you.
to be proactive than reactive, so.
And
Appreciate
Mr.
that.
Chair, I don't know your schedule tomorrow morning. Sometimes you're at home, sometimes you're out and about. I can take a picture, with a map and text it to you and say, is this the right location? And I think the one other thing to note is, initiated by the town manager, myself, conservation, the building commissioner, and the planning director we meet next Thursday, so we can discuss 860. I'll have been out there tomorrow, so I think we can just kind of talk, at our coordination meeting next, about 860, and
The reason why I bring forward is because it was an order of condition. The blasting, we just had the same engineer here before us on Boulder Road, and it doesn't appear that, or it appears that once they get the permit, everything falls apart and nothing happens. So we did make them put the conditions on page 1, which took 6 months, 7 months, and to date, they're still not doing what they're supposed to do.
Here's the thing, is we want to work with people, obviously.
Yep.
Right? And as professionals cooperate for a better result, a better project. Where that's not happening, it's a last resort kind of thing, but, the planning board can at any time reopen the public hearing and require more than what is approved. You don't need the permission of the applicant to do that. If you feel like, and you can document that it's not conforming with the approved plans and the decision, you can open the public hearing and add a bunch of conditions and requirements. You have that authority directly. So if we get to that point, we want to avoid it, obviously, and have people work with us. But where it's not working, we need to consider that, and I think the applicant needs to know that. So maybe we'll have to broach that issue soon, but we'll
That'd be
see
part
what kind of
the letter-
progress.
Letter that comes from town council.
I can ask town council see what I can get for an opinion on that, but I know it to be a fact. I've done it before in my role, but we had to. Only once or twice.
Yep.
So it would come directly from the board.
Yes.
Right.
The board is the authority here, no matter what we recommend her, but building inspector has to uphold the board's authority through documentation, then compliance efforts and enforcement. Non-criminal disposition in district court if necessary. But all of this is it's a process, and we just have to make sure that it has momentum, I think, in this case, because the thing should be,
And I think it may be worth, to do it within within open meeting law, but it may be worth having a discussion with Steve Bowie and, about where things are at. He attended this meeting, but he was fairly quiet in terms of what may have been consistent with the plans or not consistent with the plan. So I think once the construction and inspection is authorized again, maybe it's a point to just have a conversation with
Well, you can have a conversation.
We might need to be, sorry.
Go ahead.
We might need to maybe outline exactly what we're looking for them to do. Maybe narrow the scope of what we're looking for them to do when the peer review is reinstated. Would that be helpful, do you think?
Yes.
So we're not looking for a big
Yes.
report about this, we hone in on exactly what we're really focused on.
Yes, that would.
Yeah, you can always tell us, the staff, obviously, that support you, tell them to do this, this, and this. That is your authority. This is what we want to see. And other things that you recommend or you think are, in your role are needed, but
So let me ask you
statute
something.
or whatever. But this is what we want to see. You go, we want you to go do it.
as an abutter, would this noise right here be acceptable to you? The noise you hear right here, right now,
No, definitely.
24 hours a day.
That's a hardship, and I'm not sure.
And this is, I mean, I could go on and on and on, and I'm not looking to pick on them, but this is now because they're putting heat into the first building,
Yeah.
and I don't even know if they have a fireman's permit. It's really not the board's, but there's nothing in the
Yeah,
conditions.
Talk to the fire department, the building inspector again.
And they're
which will
turbo
do
heaters,
regular.
and this is what the neighbors have complained to me about.
You know, there is it was brought up with Boulder Road, there's a balancing act sometimes where, well, do we really want to put all this mitigation and, prolong the process and
No.
the impact? Or do we just want them to rip the Band-Aid off and get it over with, even though the impact would be greater? Neither is easy
No.
for the abutters.
But we stood here and listened to Mr. Zorn tell this board, or previous members of the board, 20 months, I'll be out of here. But now on 3 years, we still have hole ramming on a daily basis. We have blasting, which was needed none. We have startup, working on holidays, we have startup. Every violation that you can think of has been
No
broken up.
trees.
Yeah,
No trees?
So, well, we haven't, it's not planting season yet. But that's
Yeah,
up
but they
to,
weren't supposed to originally take all those trees, right?
that's gonna be up to Chris when the planting, that's up to, in the general conditions, it states that the planning director would be the one to accept the final design of the trees, and especially coming in facing the neighbors at Longwood Ave.
they were supposed to do that this fall. I had talked to them about
And-
that,
and
they
it
never
didn't
got
happen.
back to me. So another case of, it just have to be, in our roles as town staff, supporting the board, we have to be a little more vigilant. So I'll be making more of an effort, and hope by giving you real-time information, I get the board's input. Because that's obviously, supporting the board is the
Because
goal.
the worst thing is to be on the board and have to listen to the neighbors.
Yeah.
You ain't doing your job. All I can do is bring it to their attention.
Yeah,
We
I-
do a great job.
we get
I
paid,
know.
but you guys are volunteers, so we want to do more and try to manage
Thank you,
this
we
better.
appreciate that.
So,
We do.
if I may,
Yes,
so is this something, since we don't meet again for another month, is this
Did you
something
make
that
your
we?
motion?
Oh, yeah, that's right. But
Take
is
vote.
this something that we want to have added to an agenda, even though the information's not all public?
I think almost every agenda now, just, yeah.
No, I mean, to call them in.
Well, we can try that.
I
and
think
then-
we,
I don't think we're ready for that yet, right?
I
We
think
want to
we-
gather
We
our.
want the town council to get that letter to them.
Correct.
Mhm.
And assert your authority there.
they're putting them
Get
on
the
notice, and this is the
necessary-
reasons why.
Yeah, and then, and I think I'm quite sure town council will have a short leash on, you have to pay for this and you have to submit the funds immediately. I wouldn't give them 30 days, give them 5 days, and then, so we can get the peer reviewer out there, but, yeah.
And
That-
one other
that's-
thing, doesn't have to be on the record, is,
It'll be on the record because we're still.
well, I'll wait till after the meeting. It's about a project that left that we probably should have been, 1639 is now gonna be out of funds.
You want to talk about it after, offline?
So, I know Chris handles that, but I could do it.
I can talk to them, and I've done that before,
Okay.
just talk to the applicant,
Yep.
and they've been good.
Yeah.
As opposed to others, and, so, yeah, I can ask for another 5,000.
1639. Yep.
You can make that motion and vote at any time. Doesn't have to be in the public hearing.
Okay.
You
So
wanna make it
wanna
now
make that
for another
motion now?
I'll
5,000?
make a motion right now, it's still open. With that motion, what is the wish of the board?
Yeah, I'll make the motion to have Mr. Riley reach out to the applicant and to request additional funds for peer review for 1639 Broadway.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. I'd like to make the best motion.
Nope, not yet.
We have one final
Mr.
one,
Rich
or do you
Thompson's
want-
gonna make a motion.
The, per Nancy, we have to make it official for the 21st. So we have to make a motion that we,
Not meeting
going
on
to.
December
Oh, yeah.
21st.
So I'll make the motion. For
Seconded.
No meeting on the 21st.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. 21st meeting is now canceled.
Now I will make your favorite motion. But before I do, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy, Healthy New Year.
Right back
And
at
Happy
you.
Holidays if somebody doesn't celebrate Christmas. So,
Back at you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
and thank you all for your help tonight. Sorry you had to sit in traffic. Now my motion is to adjourn.
I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Have a great Christmas.
Thank you, and thank you
great
for the
holiday.
candy. These are delicious.